Now we are going to turn onto another subject that we were covering, and that was a live stream that we did at the No Dapple protest and divestment event that was happening at the University of Chicago. There was a governor's debate that was happening. It was between. It was basically about asking the candidates how many of them will sign on to the pledge to basically get rid of DAPL here in the state of Illinois. What a lot of people may not know is that the DAPL pipeline ends in Patoka, Illinois, and when we were there, we saw a lot of people protesting. There was like around 100 people outside the event, and it's one thing important to note out is that 3 of the candidates so far, as it currently states, unless it gets updated right now, which we will be more than happy to correct, Senator Daniel Biss, who has the Our Revolution Illinois endorsement, signed the pledge. Theo Hardman has also signed that pledge as well, and Robert Marshall, which I was surprised that he did. Bob Daber was currently looking at it. I don't know if he's signed it or not, but the only 2 people who have not signed it are those who have connections with the fossil fuel industry and the Dakota Access Pipeline, and that is J.B. Pritzker and Chris Kennedy. And so there was a lot of anger, especially because we all know about money in politics and how it cripples our democracy. And again, it also shows the influence of, I guess, fossil fuels, the fossil fuel lobby, and how it's affecting not only state politics, how it only affects, the federal politics, but state politics as well. So I don't know if you had a chance to check out the live stream, if you had a chance, Paul.
Yeah, I saw part of it. I'm curious, I haven't read the pledge. Does the pledge basically say that they will not allow the pipeline to run anymore to that port? Because it's already running, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, currently it is running. I think it's...
So it's to draft or to sign legislation to that effect?
I believe it's to sign legislation to not only end the pipeline, but to completely get Illinois away from being associated with the Dakota Access Pipeline, which would be difficult because, again, if someone's going to threaten anything with the fossil fuel industry, you know the fossil fuel lobby is going to step up and say, no, Mr. Senator, no, Mr. Governor, this pipeline is needed. It creates jobs, even though these pipelines are prone to destruction and they easily
don't create
fail.
Very many jobs at all.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's very important to note out that we actually saw some candidates there as well, such as Aaron Goldstein, who's running for Illinois Attorney General, as well as Anthony Clark. And they had a lot to say about how the governor candidates all need to sign this pledge, and there was a lot of disappointment that Chris Kennedy and J.B. Pritzker didn't sign it. So I don't know. What are your thoughts, Paul?
The pledge is great. I really want to see that in action because, fun fact, the United States has never decommissioned an oil pipeline.
We never have.
We have never decommissioned any pipeline that is put in the continental United States.
Oh, wow.
It's never happened in any state.
I wonder if there is, especially for March 20th, when people go out to vote. I wonder if whoever the candidate will be, will they sign that paperwork for the decommission of the Dakota Access Pipeline, especially here in Illinois.
Right, and that's such a politically charged one. It's not like, so Michigan's having the Line 5 fight right now, and that's a pipeline that went in 1954.
And it goes underneath the lake,
the
right?
Mackinac Bridge, right?
Wow.
Between Lake Michigan and Lake Huron.
Now, has that pipe ever bursted at all?
No, but if it were to, it would be catastrophic for the Great Lakes.
Wow.
That the amount of water that flows through the Mackinac Bridge is greater than the amount of water that flows through the Niagara Falls per minute.
Oh, wow.
So that oil would spread extremely fast. And that's an old pipeline that people have been fighting to shut down for quite a while in Michigan. And this sounds similar and it has some of the same political charge, but it's a little bit closer to people's memory because we just had this fight when they were building it. Have you seen Unicorn Riots? They did a documentary on sort of start to finish the No Dapple scene because they were there reporting constantly, and they have a lot of community organized or community gathered footage from individuals who were there, and that was just an epic fight.
The only footage I've ever seen, especially in regards to the Dakota Access Pipeline, was due to TYT Politics and RT covering what was happening in the most part of 2016, early part of 2017. just,
And we covered a few marches on our channel as well, solidarity marches here in Chicago.
Yeah.
And because a lot of, like you said at the beginning of the segment, a lot of people don't realize that the pipeline ends in Illinois, like it comes here.
I was surprised especially when we first started doing this show, I decided to do some research on Dakota Access Pipeline, just my own independent research, and all of a sudden I see where it ends. Like, where does this pipeline end? My home state, Patoka, Illinois. Mm-hmm. Oh no! Well, we got to get this thing out of here. Yep. I mean, look at all the bloodshed that happened, especially during the protests. You had protesters being beaten, sprayed, being followed and harassed by the local law enforcement as well as the private security that was there, and it was going through Native American land. Originally, it was going to go to Bismarck, but when the people of Bismarck found out that pipeline was going to go near them, they said, no, we don't want to go near us. So they decided to go through Native American land and break another treaty that we had with the Native American people. So it's another example of U.S. policy and their favoritism towards the fossil fuel industry.
It's a cash grab. It's a Texas oil company that's making all this money and is pouring this money into municipalities to basically get the police to act on their behalf. We have municipal police acting as the security force for a private Texas company.
Yeah.
And they say things like, it'll create a lot of jobs, but by their own estimate, it will create 40, not 40,000, 40. Mm-hmm. And they say it's for energy independence.
Technically, it will create a lot of jobs if the pipe bursts. Then people have something to do.
Yeah, but we don't want that.
No, we don't.
And it has already leaked at the near the Bakken oil fields, I believe, right when they turned it on. I think it was a small leak, but it was like one of those things where it'll never leak. Too. It immediately leaked.
Yeah, there were other leaks that followed as well.
Right. There's always oil spills. It's really depressing.
But again, all the protesters there standing in solidarity, saying we have to protect our clean air and water. Mm-hmm. Look, we only have one planet, and, to all our listeners, we're huge fans of Elon Musk, but even Elon Musk can't build enough starships to take us to another galaxy. We don't have that kind of technology. We have this planet. We can't terraform Mars. So if we don't take care of this planet now, if we don't take care of our clean drinking water, our clean soil, making sure our soil is safe so we can grow our food, making sure our air is clean so we can breathe it, it's going to be a disaster for the human species. And look, climate change is real. We're seeing the effects of how we use these fossil fuel resources and the impact that they make on our environment. We've seen larger hurricanes, larger droughts. I mean, the climate's going to be changing, and that's one thing the protesters were saying, that if we don't take care of this issue now, if we don't move away from our addiction to fossil fuels, it will lead to the extinction of the human species. And it's a reality that we have to live in.
So the reality is we are eventually going to lose planet Earth. Mm-hmm. It's going to go away. The question is, will it go away in however many tens of thousands of years when the sun explodes, or is it going to go away in the next 100 years?
Technically, according to Putin, the sun will blow up in 8 billion years. So we still got some time.
Is it 8 billion?
Yeah, it's. I guess
tens of thousands. I forget what the exact number is, but it's long enough time. It's several orders of magnitude longer than all of human existence. So that long, or like the next couple generations?
Just a little inside thing, because way back in 2011, though, there was another hysteria that the world was going to end, and when that day passed. Somebody asked Putin his comments on it. He said, I know when the world's going to end. It's going to end in 8 billion years when the sun blows up. And it was like an off comment. So, hey, Putin might be right about one thing.
World's ending in a long time.
I was really proud to hear some of the candidates, though, come up to us and say, hey, we're glad you're here. Like Aaron Goldstein or Anthony Clark, they were saying to us, hey, we're glad you're here to live stream this event. And even the protesters, some of them knew who we were, too. And it's like, we're glad you're here to tell our story, because mostly everyone was there to speak, to hear the governor candidates talk. So it's one thing. There was one question I did ask, though, from everyone, from the organizers to Anthony Clark, to Aaron Goldstein. It's one thing to sign a pledge, but what kind of political action is needed from a governor to really get us away from being associated with the Dakota Access Pipeline?
Right. And how do you actually shut it down?
Yeah. What does that fight look like? Not only for the governor, whoever will get the nomination, and then whoever gets to become our governor, whether it's Republican or Democrat, how do they bring that to the Illinois State Senate and House? Mm-hmm. Because, again, I could see some representatives and state senators who represent Patoka, Illinois, saying, no, we need this here for our jobs. It's going to have to be a gradual removal from using fossil fuels. We have to get away from it. But again, the money in politics, it plays a huge role into our democracy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
I know there are a few companies that are working on. They say they're about 10 years away from a functioning fusion reactor, which would be an amazing advancement in energy independence, because you basically now can take salt water and run your byproducts are helium and I think helium and hydrogen. I forget. Basically, like almost like free energy.
Mm-hmm.
Feed it water and you get energy.
Yeah, and I'm also curious about the further research into the solar panels and large batteries that Elon
Mm-hmm.
Musk is working on, especially in Australia, to where they're saying that plant is working at near 100% or so. Like it's able to produce
they
a lot of
run
energy.
very high efficiency. Yeah, solar farms and wind farms, like there have been leaps and bounds in those areas. And if we had more government contribution and more incentives to get people to go in this direction, it could really take over the energy market, and we could free ourselves from needing fossil fuels. This argument that we need fossil fuels because the economy depends on it, it's like, well, it seems like we're engineering a situation that we have to rely on fossil fuels because that's the existing infrastructure and that's what you want. It's a resistance to investing in new infrastructure that outdates an old technology. It's the same thing as the paper industry holding on to the printing press, right? Like, it's an old technology. We're trying to move away from it, and history sort of shows us that when you try to hold on to the old thing, eventually you're going to lose, and that's kind of what us on the environmentalist side of things are fingers crossed hoping for. We're hoping that the battery packs and the solar panels and the fusion generators, surpass fossil fuels to the point where it becomes obvious to any business person that that's the type of power source that they need.
Right, exactly. And so, again, it's really a matter of holding our elected officials accountable. So, if you're following this governor's race, if you're following, what the candidates are, doing, look at, Senator Daniel Biss or Teal Hartman or Robert Marshall or Bob Dabert, J.B. Pritzker or Chris Kennedy. Like, find out where they stand on the issues. And it currently stands right now, 3 out of the 6 candidates signed that pledge. And if that's something you agree with, all right, go out and canvass and support that candidate. But at the same time, too, if you find out your candidate didn't support this pledge and that you are and you're supporting them, you should ask them, hey, why aren't you, standing in solidarity with these protesters? A lot of people have saw the brutal aftermath of the what happened to the Dakota Access Pipeline or water protectors who were protesting against the DAPL pipeline. Mm-hmm. So, again, if this is something you care about, find out where your local officials stand. Find out where your candidates stand, because mm-hmm. only you have the power to really change, the political discourse here in the system.
And if your preferred candidate does not support the pledge, let them know that you do. If you do support the pledge, if you want them to sign it, because that's the thing that can get people to change their policy positions. If their constituents are telling them how they feel, and that candidate is not already on that position, they'll reconsider, for sure.
You're watching Hard Lens Media.